Hi everyone, welcome to this week's new episode. We have our first guest. Very exciting times. This is Elle. She is how do I say it?
Biomechanist.
A biomechanist.
Which always follows with a bio what?
Yeah. And she is also previously my previous trimmer and Kay's barefoot trimmer now, because Elle's kind of come out of trimming and gone more into her
humans. One bounced off each other.
That's it, yeah. And she's also, she's our good friend as well, but she's very much Kay's agony aunt /
coach,
mindset, coach, spiritual. What else?
Bounce an idea off.
Yeah.
Have a bit of a whinge.
Yeah.
So, where should we start?
Let's start from the beginning. How did you first get involved?
Oh, how did I get involved?
Yeah.
Always been into horses. Childhood at pony club and all that sort of platting and eventing, all the standard childhood pony club things. But then I had the best old pony, Poppet. 40 years she made it to. I've never known a horse so old. Gorgeous. But there was a time where her foot kept abscessing. She was abscessing, going lame, and it was continuous. And the vet said about, we're going to have to chop a section of the hoof out. And you're just kind of like, that sounds dramatic. But if you've got to do it, you obviously know what you're talking about. So we chopped a big old chunk out the front, and she started wearing special shoes. Mum and I just thought there's got to be another way. This just seems a bit barbaric.
Yeah.
So we came up with natural hoof care and barefoot trimming, and at that point it's very early days. And it was a bit like, you're going to be cruel to your horse if you take the shoes off.
How long ago was that?
I was working this out last night. We think it's probably about almost 20 years.
Yeah, that's insane, because that would have been really early.
That we were early days.
It was early when I took Nick barefoot.
Yeah.
So.
And extreme. People were like, you can't do that. It's cruel to do that. But Mum and I just kept saying to ourselves, like, they're not born with shoes on. Like, when they hunt, they take the shoes off for the summer, don't they? So it's like, people do it. It's just not the norm. So we started looking into it. I did my training just to purely look after her.
Who did you do that with?
So I did a few of the Pete Rainey courses when he came over to the UK.
Because obviously there wouldn't have been loads of big courses back then like there is now.
Yeah, so he was an American guy, and he would come over and do the odd, like, around the country 2-day, 1-day type thing. And so I started there, and then it was the UK NHCP, so UK National Hoof Care Practitioner, something like that. And I did a lot of training with them, so you'd have to do intensives with barefoot trimmers, farriers that had crossed onto the ethos of barefoot, and then obviously started linking in with the diet as well as the exercise. So it took quite a while doing that, and you have to do case studies, you had an exam at the end. I think it's shut down now, but that's how it all started. And then I started seeing clients. Accidental, because Mum started talking at feed merchants and said, my daughter's doing this, and then obviously she's got a horse that, do you want to come see? And before I know it, I'm starting a business.
Yeah.
So perfect.
That's the best way though.
So the business, and it's been word of mouth, so that's handy. Nice people refer nice people. That's good.
Yeah.
So yes, and here I am still trimming. Tell you what, it's a backbreaker, so hence the cross onto humans.
Yeah.
But horses and humans turn out not that dissimilar when it comes to bodies, pain, and looking at the big picture.
Yeah.
So that's how it all came about.
So how did you cross from horses to?
Well, originally I was for humans, sports therapy. Poppet bought about the older barefoot. And then from there, I kept thinking there's got to be more to it than humans, because I was starting to see humans as, maintaining them rather than sorting the problem. Whereas horses, we have to look big picture, so we look at the gut and how that affects the hoof, and the exercise, how that affects the hoof, and how the foot is like your dictator as to what's going on. Same thing with humans. I have to look at the big picture of humans. So I look at past injuries, what's happened for their body to create compensations, What else might I look? Job, how much movement they do, all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's both businesses look at big picture to get to the root of the problem.
Yeah.
So I guess
So
problem
you was a
solver.
human therapist before that?
Yes,
Physio.
humans. Then a crossing over of humans and horses, because don't want to put too many eggs in one basket. Keep your options open, people. and then sort of now more humans than horses, just purely because horses is hard going on the board. And yeah.
So what made you do humans first? As in not as in
rather than horses.
How did you go into the human part of it?
I think it was.
Did you always want to do that?
I think it was like physio type stuff's always interested. Horses have always been in my life right from kids, so I don't think I thought of him as a business. But saying that, I do remember when I was little, oh Mum, I want to be a farrier one day. And guess what? I only flipping became one. Put it out to the world and it delivers. So accidental. Perhaps it is something you just. I did think once upon a time I wanted to be a farrier.
And you didn't realise,
and then I sort of was. I didn't have the following that farriers have.
Yeah.
No swooning girls or guys hanging around the yard. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
so yeah, and then it's kind of crossed back onto humans.
But you started with humans before the
humans, horses and humans.
So what was you doing before the horse part?
That was sports therapy, so it could be sports massage, it could be like injury stuff.
And how did you get into that?
Finished uni after doing a health and exercise degree. What do you do with that? It doesn't lead you specific. So it's like, what do I enjoy? I like the body bit. I like working out the problem.
What's going on.
Yeah, the big picture, the problem solving a bit.
Yeah.
I guess like with the horses.
So did you stop that and then go to horses?
No, they ran alongside.
So you run alongside?
Ran alongside, yeah.
Right.
Yes, I am not conventional and I do like to do lots of different things.
Of course, yeah. So like when you started with the clients to begin with, horse, human.
Yeah.
Was you very like along the normal lines and then felt yourself branching off? Or did you always branch off? As soon as you started, was you confident enough to be like...
Wouldn't life be easier if I was just conventional? I've never been conventional, which is at times quite annoying because life would be easier if I just followed this dream, and it would be very boring. But no, I think I was employed for about 6 months whilst I built the humans up, enough that I could do it self-employed, and then humans.
That's when you had your free reign.
Yeah, then I decided, right, I'm only going to do stuff that I find interesting. So the way I guess everything's come about with work is, I find that interesting. Like the horses only came about because I wanted to look after Poppet and no one else did it. So actually that's quite interesting. I'll do that. And then the humans was like, I've got to find something that solves the big picture bit, and finally came across anatomy and motion. And so started along that. But that again, very ahead of the game. So that looks at how every joint in your body moves in 3 ways every time you take a step. So I could look at someone and be like, oh, that face of gait there, that joint's moving a lot, that joint's not moving enough. That would make sense why they're getting pain. And then I would use movement to balance them back up.
Right, okay.
But that's not conventional. No, I mean, everyone just looks at the side of pain. No, not me. I've got to backtrack it all down, build the picture, and then get you out of it. And same with horses. Like, it would be so much easier to go think one-minded, put shoes on a horse. But no, I thought, that doesn't seem normal to cut a section of the hoof out. That I questioned it. I guess I questioned stuff. When you question, it opens your mind up to different answers coming in. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as my brain then starts thinking of that, it's like, oh, well, is that the best way? What I've been doing for all those years, does that work as well as it could? Should I try something else? And perhaps I try something else. Like, keep the bits I like, but if I don't, then I'll move to the side. So I'm constantly shaping the way I work. So now I do a lot with the brain as well. So biopsychosocial model, so about the biology of the body, how you think with the psychology, and also the social side of things. How does the people perhaps you surround yourself with or your work teammates impact your pain? Because for humans, where I deal a lot with chronic pain or long-term pain is never where you feel it. It's always a bigger picture.
As in, give me an example.
Oh, do you want a good one?
Yeah,
Okay,
I want
this one
some
will
really
blow
good ones.
the brain. Okay, so I had a lady in the other day, and she, right from childhood, she had a bit of a squint, so she's had 3 eye operations.
A squint as in just
You know,
like,
the tracking of your eye, so her one eye would look a little bit off
yeah.
of the other. So she sees 2 separate
Wow.
things through both eyes. So her eyes don't work together, they work individually.
Right.
And it creates this squint. So she had 3 ops to try and correct it. It's not corrected. But that's not why she comes to see me. She's come to see me because for 5 years she's had right shoulder pain. And everyone's looked at the shoulder and rotated cuff and perhaps a little bit we've got a bit closer, we've gone out to the neck and people have thought about the neck. But what they haven't thought about is the big picture. And the bigger picture is that if you create a twist, so her eye, she's going to use her dominant eye.
So she's like,
So she's going to twist her head slightly,
right.
which then creates a twist through her body, and then the body has to adjust its twists to make up for that. And so actually what she's got is leaking energy between her hip and her shoulder because there's more space where she's had to twist.
Leaking energy.
So if you imagine you've got, say, abs running in a diagonal pattern across. So if you imagine if her shoulder, her head's twisted, so then her body's going to compensate and twist that way, and then her pelvis will twist that way, and she'll then there'll be more space between this hip and that shoulder. So now we're leaking energy from her middle, so her core isn't working as well as it could. So her shoulder goes, boom, I'll be the core. So her shoulder starts locking down to try and make up for the bit that she hasn't got in the middle doing its job because of the twisty eye focus. But if you just look at the eye, well, they've tried just looking at the eye, and it hasn't corrected the eye, and it hasn't corrected the twist. If you look at the shoulder, everyone's just focusing on the shoulder and the pain. She's had 5 years of it. It's not the shoulder that's the
But it's just
problem.
going to keep doing that as well.
Because actually, it's doing a good job of trying to make her stable.
Yeah.
And then actually, what we need to do is create the balance between her foot to the hip, to the shoulder, to the head. And for her, we will be able to correct it enough that she won't have the pain because her shoulder won't be doing all the work. So we'll connect the abs back in via the foot and up the chain. But because that eye,
I was going to say, we can't fix
the eye, we're only going to be able to get to a pain where she's not using the shoulder. So that might be an example.
But how would you fix that?
So we would look through movement. So we know that I've watched her walk up and down, and she's like, you can see the twist happen when she walks. So we would take her through a load up. So I know to untwist that pattern, I want to give her a left foot load up, which then will create the opposite twist to counteract what her shoulder's trying to do. That starts to give her the strength in the middle to take the pressure off the shoulder. So the shoulder no longer has to be the core becomes the core. And then that takes the pressure off her shoulder and her neck. Her eye is always going to be twisted because we'll give her eye exercises, but I'm not holding out for that being enough. She's had 3 ops, she's got internal scarring.
But this is where you can take the body, improve it to a certain point, but not to like perfection, and that's where you have to kind of.
That's where you got to know, I guess. Yeah. And for her, just getting rid of that neck pain, but giving her a middle strength. Yeah. She won't be in pain, she'll be fine.
Yeah.
She'll still have that and the scarring from the ops in the eye. And we play perhaps with a bit of eye stuff, but who knows? Never say never, I guess.
But I'm sure you'll be there finding something else out about eyes.
Oh, I love a bit of eyes. Eyes are interesting, but hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what eyes represent in emotions, though.
Eyes?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So,
because obviously people look at the physicality of stuff, but also we've got like the emotional side of all of that. And obviously she said 3 ops in her eye.
She was born like that, wasn't she?
They think so, yeah. That with this. But why was that?
No, of course. Yeah.
And also there's 3 lots of surgery there with trauma trapped within the body.
Yeah. So you got all that. And then if you think, so the way I would work is eyesight is a higher priority than muscle and bone, because if you don't have your eyes going back, you can't spot the predator that's going to try and attack you. So emotions for me are a really high priority. Eyesight would be next. Tendons and ligaments, then down from that, and then taking it down to sort of muscular. So if that person, another example, so this is quite a good one. So mum, she comes in to see me, posture stuff, bit back pain, blah 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 blah. Sort her out. She brings her son in, and her son's quite tall, bit overweight. He's at that sort of tricky age, teens, and he's sort of sunk. So he looks exactly the same as she did. So he's learnt the behaviour from her, not consciously, but just mimicking. But for him, he feels a bit overweight and a bit self-conscious. So there's no point me trying to correct him biomechanically because it's not a biomechanical injury. So I have to tap into the confidence side of things to then change it. And I can bounce the two off each other because I know I can get him feeling more confident if I can open him up. But unless you tap into the brain bit, he's always going to do it. Exactly. So emotions are a higher priority when sorting out problems. So hence, you really want to know an injury history, not only physical, but anything like trauma-wise as well.
Going back to the first person, the way you're describing that is so the same with the straightness training with the horses.
This is what I was just trying to say.
Isn't it really funny how someone can, for example, have a left hind issue, but it's not just solely the left hind. You have to
go to all the other things.
Yeah.
And this is where we go back to, in our head, we thought we'd like solidified. If they're on that left shoulder, then it's the right hind that's the weakest one, for example.
Yeah.
But then if you have a kink somewhere else that's going on,
it's a minefield,
how it completely plays out. Because we'd be like, but Amber's a lefty.
Yeah.
But what is going on there behind? Because that's not tallying up with the whole lefty situation. But she's had this, and this. So that's
priority of what's causing more jip.
Yeah.
That then plays into what's currently going on.
It is the same sort of thing.
It's exactly
you got to go big picture. I find you go big picture, you whittle it down, you go big picture again, and you're constantly going in and out, be it horses or shoes. Same with like when you put the shoes on a horse, you think that, so when I started, I was told, if you don't have shoes on your horse, their foot is going to degrade and wiggle into a little stump on the end.
The coronet bag.
Especially if you do road work.
Yeah, road work. Well, that will wear them out a treat. And that was the fear people had.
It's genuine fear,
And so you'd have to have that shoe on to protect. But oh my God, if you ever dissected a horse's hoof, had to do this as part of my training.
No, I would really like to do one actually.
It is fascinating. So we dissected the leg, but particularly it was the hoof, and you had a barefoot hoof, and you had a shod hoof. Oh, it's disgusting. Like a shod hoof, you opened it up and it was like rice pudding at the heel where it should be, bloody, muscular, where it's supporting, it's pumping blood flow up through the body and what have you. It was like rice pudding where it just been shut off. You just think, oh my God. So when people were saying like it's cruel to take the shoe off, I'm thinking no, because at least if I take the shoe off, I know if it's a change in diet, how quickly that's going to affect or worm up, or I don't know, put them out with another horse that they don't like, a field change. Whereas when I had them shod, I didn't really know.
Yeah. I generally, when I had Nick shod, the only time I would ever pay any attention to his feet was obviously to pick his foot out. And I'd leave my money for the farrier, book him in. He was a good boy, so I never had to be there. I was at work.
Yeah.
And he'd just leave me a date of when he was next. And I'd be like, was he okay? Yeah, it was fine. Literally had no attention to it until we started pulling his shoes off. And I was forced to look at them feet. And from then on, I've looked at feet ever since.
And it's also a little curse, isn't it? Because let's face it, once you start delving in, it's like opening Pandora's box, because you're like, oh God, actually, is that? Have I been doing the right thing? But it does force you to look at things differently, but also, you know what? It worked for a time, and that's what I knew, and I knew that then.
Oh, you can only go as far as what you know, in that moment,
But then when
you know better, you do better.
You make a choice. Do I want to listen? Do I want to delve into it, or should I just be ignorant?
But I think that's why a lot of people choose to be like that, because it's very easy to stay ignorant. It is to open the door.
I totally
Because
agree.
the door always then opens 10 other doors
Yes.
that you have to address
Yes.
and be okay with.
And you're often on your own route.
Or
Often no one
on your own.
else is doing the same
Yeah.
journey, and it's daunting.
I remember with
When you
I
have
was
that, am I
so
doing the right
scared.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's daunting. So having a little like-minded crowd, be it podcasts or
Yeah.
Instagram or whatever, if there's no one in your yard doing it, just having backup, be it with people doing it, like going my route with looking at chronic pain. Like, who would have thought you'd be? I had so lady had a bunion up, and she sees the guy that's done the work, the surgeon, and he's given her the all clear. But I know, thank God she's come to see me, because bunions are a real pain when it comes to later down the line of compensations. The thing that you connect to the ground with, you've had it messed around in an operation, you've probably been put in an air boot, and off you go, and your brain's got used to walking around with that air boot on.
Yeah.
So if you're never going to load that foot properly again because you've coped for 6 weeks whilst you've been in a boot, then that you're taking away one point of your base of support, creating problems further up the train.
Yeah.
So,
But also you're having to re-educate that body from going however many years with the bunion in the first
exactly.
place.
So have it
Then
magically chopped off,
compensating for 6 weeks with
boot on.
the boot to then you're free.
Yeah.
That's a lot for that body to have to
Yeah.
deal with.
And often it doesn't, it compensates, and
That's
it just
why they
sticks
come
to
back
the
as
well. And so then you see someone with a hip pain
Yes.
and about to go through hip surgery, and actually if you've got the loading through the foot well, you can start moving the hip again.
But I don't think a lot of people are even mindful of that small little thing that people use the word "we're compensating" now. I don't really want to compensate, but they don't actually delve into the word of compensation and how it actually will affect them, not in 3 months, 4 months, but 10 years.
That's it.
And how that took them down this road of a huge compensation of areas, which is where you come into it and go, well, actually, did you have a bunion operation 10 years ago?
That's it.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I think people use the word, but they don't actually think how much. Because they say,
Yeah.
I'm trying to use this leg better.
Yeah.
And actually, it feels quite normal now.
Yeah.
And then a year down the line, they've got a different thing on their hip, like you say.
That's
And it's crazy, really, how.
It is fascinating. You know what, though? I do think mindset and creating different meanings about the word. So you're saying about the word compensate, it's kind of diluted. It just, no one really just say it, don't you? Whereas my biggest, this is a good learn. This was for both humans and horses. Like the pressure you have with someone coming to you to fix, be it their horse or them, is really high. You're meant to be the magician that solves the problem. Oh my God. And I thought I was just going to give up what I was going to do completely, because it was so much pressure to a point of sorting the pain. And then I decided, like, right, I'm either going to give up or I've got to think about pain differently. And when I changed how I thought about pain, it got so much easier. And I think that's the same with using different words. So instead of pain now being something scary, I see it as your body trying to tell you something. It's either the horse's body trying to tell me something or human's body trying to tell me. But because it can't speak English, it gives you pain. And it's probably giving you little signs along the way, but you haven't clocked them
Until they're bigger.
until you got some pain. So rather than seeing pain as a bad thing, it's like, what's it trying to tell me? And then you get playful and inquisitive with it.
That's so true.
And then it gets fun because
so
you're
true.
sorting the problem, and you're like a little detective rather than flipping heck, I've got to see this person, they're going to come in, they're going to be in pain, and oh my God, how am I going to do it? And you shriek. Whereas if you get playful with it, ideas kind of come to you.
But as a culture, we look at pain as it being a negative, bad thing, so we have to mask it, we have to get rid of it. But in doing that, we don't actually delve into the root of why is it there and what is it trying to tell us. We do here's some medication, here's this, don't do that, and just, we never actually
then you come and see
think,
me
why
in
is
20
it
years.
here?
Yeah, but I think a lot of people want to do that, don't they? They just want to fix it and it be done with, and they not have to think
And then we
about
just
it.
move on.
Yeah, but that's the easy option.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Again, like you're like, I don't know, for me, I feel like you saying about being playful with something. When I had Amber, it was like, I can remember that flick switch where I went, do you know what? I'm just going to have to surrender to this moment.
Yes.
And be a little bit like,
take the control out.
No one's going to help me.
Yeah.
I even had a vet call me say that I had Munchausen's because I wanted her to be sick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, in a big referral thing, and I literally with that, I was like, do you know what, no one's going to help me, so I've just got to figure this out myself, and it become playful. So I didn't feel so down about it.
And the pressure is taken off as soon as you start, you get playful fun with it.
Yeah.
I remember, Kate, do you remember when you were working with Nala?
Yeah.
And you were in a bit of a downward spiral on the emotion, and you were noticing how she was sort of being quite naughty. I remember you telling me how, I'm just going to have to look at this different. And the next time I came to trim, you said, right, I've changed my mindset. And as soon as you changed your mindset and your energy around her, like that next trim session, it was a completely different.
It's because I'm constantly, obviously, the over-analysing of everything.
Yeah.
I think I was so focused on, which is very common when someone's got an issue or a pain or a lame horse or a behavioural issue. You focus so much on the issue.
You're in
and
it.
I was like, how can I help you? How can I fix you? And I was so focused on that I literally did the whole surrender thing. I was like, you know what? I'm just accepting you as you are right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to appreciate the good parts of you and stop giving my attention to the bad parts of you.
Yeah.
And just stop trying to make you a better version of you.
It was
and compare you to all the other horses and be like, you are you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to embrace you as you are. And literally, as soon as I did that, she was like, hi.
And it was hilarious.
And I was like, 6 weeks later.
It was 6 weeks later. I turned up and she was completely like, oh yeah, we did this. I changed the thought pattern. Exactly that.
It is. Not that it's bad, it's just her way.
But again, you have to know your mindset has to be down that road for you to take them approaches.
Yeah.
Like when I was in amber mode, I would it took me to my limit and then I surrendered.
That's often the case.
But with Winnie, for example,
nowhere else to go, so you have to surrender.
With Winnie, because she's done what she's done now, I'm like, you know what? It's what it is.
Yeah.
Can help me fix it in respect of like muscular. I'll do what she tells me to do.
Yeah.
And then I won't go near that. I'll just go with something else, and that will fix itself.
It.
But years ago, I would have been like,
oh my God,
she's broken. How am I going to deal with this?
Yeah.
Oh my God, my dreams are shattered.
On all and it doesn't your mind close.
Yeah.
Like it shrinks into like the panic mode.
Yeah.
But
so true.
Surrender. I love you both use the word surrender. It's so true. You let it go.
As a control freak, surrender is extremely
difficult.
But you get to the point where you have no other options that you're like, well, okay, I'll give in.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
especially when you're that person that craves the answers. I think it makes it even harder because you want to find them answers, and you are going down so many routes, and
it's exhausting.
It's exhausting, and you get to the end of them routes, and they haven't necessarily helped, or they've helped a little bit,
but not got to where you want to be.
That's it. Yeah. But then you surrender, and then all of a sudden, them answers come from all of those different places.
That is probably my biggest lesson learned, and it's the flipping hardest one because it happens when it happens. You have to keep reminding yourself to surrender. But with every client, that's probably what I'm teaching them. To take the pressure off, stop pushing and making stuff happen, because you'll just make other parts of the body that's used to doing it work rather than the bits we need to start activating and waking up again and getting them to relax into stuff. So relaxing, take the pressure off, surrender to the move, that sort of thing. And boy, it's hard, especially when you really want to do a good job or you want to do well with your exercise, you want to get better. But it's the way forwards, because you then start to get the other bits bubble up, which like, oh yeah, I can do something and I can take part in your process of life and living and what have you. Surrender it's hard, but it is a bit of a gold dust there.
With your human clients, would you, obviously they're all going to be different, but is there like a reoccurring theme when it comes to, obviously you're dealing with pain?
Yeah.
Is there like a particular thing that you go, oh, it's this again with any of them, or are they all just really specific to the individual?
So a nice little easy one to spot, which is quite a goodie, is feet, flat feet. How many people have flat feet? Loads of people have flat feet. And you'll often find the old 10 to 2 turnout. So, and then this will often link to lower back pain. So I pretty much know if someone's coming to see me with lower back pain, not always, because you never, always anything can happen, but they've probably got flat feet, their feet might be a bit tentative, either one or both, and their pelvis is turned into an anterior tilt. So we've got like an excessive lumbar curve, so lower back's arched. And then for me, I need to address how they live through their feet. So I need to have to introduce movement to allow because at the minute when the foot is flat, imagine bones are opening, muscles are being stretched. It's like a baggy elastic band, or think baggy elastic band. So I need to get the pin back into the elastic. And this is the bit that is quite, you've got to get your head round to make something a bit more powerful. I want to, like a catapult, pull back, put more stretch in. So anyone with flat feet would probably be told, oh, you need orthotics. But if I stick an orthotic on a flat foot, all I'm going to do is I'm going to give a flat foot the support that it's wanting or needing that arch, but I'm fake arching it. I'm giving it something to rest on. I'm not activating the muscles. So all I'm going to do is I'm then going to shift someone's weight to the outside. The skinny little bones of the foot are then going to be overloaded. So stuff like stress fractures, because that's just sitting there pretty on its little orthotic. So I need to stretch the muscles more to create like a catapult effect, the power to then be able to start lifting them up. So I need to lift them up in a functional way with your base of support. So thinking about like a tripod, you want to keep the big toe ball, the little toe ball, and the heel in contact with the ground. That then helps to lift, which changes the structure of the shin, the thigh, and then you can start accessing into the hip and the pelvis, taking the pressure off the lower back. And so that's a nice one to look at. I know that if someone's coming in with lower back pain, they've probably got this little anterior tilt, so their bottom is sort of like a little duck bump. Their feet are flat, and I need to connect there, and it doesn't stop there because I've only then activated up to the lower abs. So that's like cutting the catapult short. I then need to link it all the way up the chain, up towards the head, so bringing in the spine, the rib cage and the head to connect where that six pack starts at the pubic bone under the ribs to get that far and to take the pressure off the back. And that then creates that whole structure. So the foot impacting all the way up to the head. But I know that pretty much flat feet again. Lower back pain. Easy, quick one. Feet, flat feet, lower back pain. They're pretty much coming in.
But again, this takes you straight to the horse when you whack a pad on.
Exactly.
Doesn't it?
You're changing that structure, how they're loading, and the impact that then has through the whole.
And also, you're human riding a horse.
Exactly.
Well, I think you know who I'm thinking about. Turned out feet. Yeah, like literally, I'm like, and I know that person had really bad lower back pain. And so,
but we're all lame from just having horses. Like you just hurt my thing.
I was like, why are you living? I was like, I've literally just slipped off of a mud mat. But like
having horses in general, and so you're dealing with your own conversations, and then you get on Winnie. So like, it's just
1,000,000%, and then I suck her up.
And then who bounces each other up? Yeah, this is it. Who's kicking? Is she kicking your back off? Are you kicking hers off?
1,000,000%.
And that's why everybody needs to look at themselves as well.
Yeah, totally. This was sort of early days of barefoot, and lady I used to trim for, she was very twisted, and how she took some time off riding for a time, and the horse, because she was doing some groundwork and it was balancing up, and she's like, she's moving. As soon as she got back on, I'd say probably within the week, the horse couldn't do, one rein she was struggling with, and it was purely she put her twists back into the horse.
Yeah, but this is the issue that I see with clients. Like sometimes I'm working on a horse and then I'll see someone hobbling down the aisle, and I'm like, they're going to get on and ride.
And you just think, oh my God, my whole
This is where you have to be open and be like, I've got my own stuff to work on, we've also got their stuff.
But I do think when I was doing my teaching, I think a lot of people do not realise how much it impacts them.
No, they don't at all.
Because I used to say, there used to be this one particular lady who was really twisted on the left rein.
Yeah.
And no matter what I would say to her, she'd be like, yeah, I am. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. And I would physically say, this is where you are meant to be, and you are this way.
Yeah.
And she would say, I'm doing it. I'm
doing
doing
just bringing awareness.
Like, that's it. But I don't think, even to this day, that she realised
probably wouldn't have
how much it was in making a thing on the horse. and she probably just went on and thought I was a nutter.
Probably.
But then they'd get the vet out because the horse would eventually be lame or have a problem, or they'll have a back person out or an osteopath. And the emphasis is constantly on the horse.
Yeah.
Never on the
No
human
one
as
questions.
well.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny, like the two, they're so interlinked.
Yeah, of course they are.
Let alone your mentality as to how it then affects
Your
the
attitude.
horse when
That's
you're on
it.
it.
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
it's a minefield. But see, Pandora's box.
This
Once
is it.
you go
One thing and
into
then
it.
one to a million.
Yeah, it just opens it up.
Yeah.
We have some questions.
Yeah, we do have some questions.
Ooh, what we got?
Right. My
Your
one
first
is
one.
advice you would give
Okay.
to your younger self.
That could be horse, human, or in life.
I'm going back to the surrender, take the pressure off. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
It's funny, I think that would
Take
be my
pressure off.
answer.
I wish I'd known that now because I remember doing my anatomy motion training, and the first day I got there, I remember bursting into tears. And I was like, why am I crying? And I built it up.
To
Like,
be so big.
I need to
Yeah.
learn this. I need to know how to do this. This is the thing I need to know in life, and I'm not getting it straight away. So I take the flipping pressure off.
Yeah.
So yeah, take the pressure off. It'll work when it works, and you'll get it when you get it. But
And there's no timing.
Yeah, I was just about to say
There's no,
that.
you could have gone back and done it. It may have cost you a little bit of money.
Yeah.
But like it's all achievable.
that's it.
Well, you learn it at little stages throughout your entire life.
That's why I try and get, and you never know everything.
No,
I'm
no,
always
no.
learning. The day I say, "Oh, I know it all," please shoot me because I won't. There will be another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So yeah, take the pressure off.
Yeah.
That definitely.
Question 2. What do you take away from horses that you use in everyday life?
Ooh. I think, oh God, that's going to fall into the whole take the pressure off. I think it's being in the moment. If I'm not in the moment when I'm working with a horse, and there's only been one time I've been kicked out of, God, look, we've
Was it not?
dissected
I'm joking.
20 odd years, and that was because my brain was in a different zone, and I missed the sign of like fidgety back foot, that sort of thing, and caught the side of the knee, and it wasn't bad, but I wasn't in the moment, and I missed it. So if you're in the moment, I'm picking stuff up, I'm learning things, I'm kind of hearing things that I might have missed otherwise. In the moment, horses make you be in the moment. I love that one.
Yeah. It's a good one. I'm going to actually add one because
Ooh.
we've removed one.
Oh yeah, go
It
on.
didn't quite fit to you. What would be your most wackiest rabbit hole?
I've just given you eyes.
You can give me another one.
Okay, wacky.
Or we could elaborate on the eyes.
Okay, no. How about? Oh, I can do White Witch.
Go
If you
for
want a
it.
bit of White Witchy
We
woo
want
woo.
woo-woo stuff.
White Witchy woo woo. Okay, this is an interesting one. So scars. Scars are fab to work with, and I bet I haven't tried actually with horses or animals, whatever. But for humans, think of a scar. So you're
this is interesting.
chopping into the body. The body doesn't know that you're about to die or that you've elected to have surgery, but it's just got to heal, and it's got to heal quick because you might die in a moment. So a C-section scar
Here I am.
will often link to other stuff. So you've had a chop through the middle there, and your body has gone into healing. The body heals as quick as it can, but in doing so, it's going to be jamming up joints, lower back stuff, that sort of thing. But no one ever thinks of the scar being the problem. You'll get given core stuff maybe, and you'll try and do it, but it's not really hitting the spot. The core stuff's not working because you haven't addressed the scar. The inflammation, think of an old TV. Do you remember the old TVs that you touch the fuzzy picture, you touch the aerial, and the picture will go clear?
Yeah.
That's the same thing with scars. So you can touch, you don't want to push it, you don't want to force it, you just touch over a scar, and then I would do a muscle test and show you how I can make that whole ab section that's been cut through go strong just by touching a scar.
It's like the neurokinetic stuff that I was doing.
Yeah, a bit of NKG.
Yeah.
And then you take the hand off and you test it again, and that person is weak as anything. And they're like, oh, how'd you do that? And it's purely because by touching the scar, I've downgraded the emergency signal from the brain to the scar for that second, and I've allowed it to go to the bit that it should do. the abdominal muscles to make them fire. And so the exercise, the muscle test that I've done, super easy when you're touching the scar. So you can't go around touching the scar all the time because that's just weird. So that's where you have to get a little bit woo-woo, and you end up working out which part of the scar is the overactive part of the scar, which is the underactive part of the scar. And then you have to balance them back out, and then you have to retrain and do your strengthening exercise. And then you negate the scar.
That's why when I learned about myofascial release, I was like, everyone that has a hip operation, a knee operation, C-section, how many women nowadays have a C-section? Go have MFR, like have scar release done.
That's why I did go, didn't I? Because generally, I couldn't walk. I was getting up off and I knew it was my scar.
And
I knew it was my scar, and I was like, I need to have someone do something on my scar because it's that bad. But it's all in my back.
That's it.
It wasn't actually on my scar.
Yeah, very rarely.
I knew that it was called point.
So if you think of, this is quite a nice one to think of, you can't see on a black top, but a scar, if you've got to pull in a jumper, you've got here, and then you get, so if you twist your jumper up and then you get like the lines coming out, think of that as like your scar tissue. It will bind onto anything it can to try and heal you, make you strong, because it doesn't know that you're not about to die. But scars are fun. So I would test it. I might do a little work, but I would test the scar, and then I would perhaps ask the underactive part of the scar. I'd have to excite it and rev it up, sort of thing, to activate. The overactive part of the scar would be, I want to calm it down. And I need to know that because I need to balance them out. Interestingly, I will pop this in because I do question whether the facilitated, the overactive part of the scar is where the knife goes into chop. And I wonder if the body makes that the
that makes complete
flipping
sense.
heck. I'm just something's happening. So it's that always, and because I'd love to know if the surgeon was right or left-handed to see if that would tally. Woo! See this one in back my brain.
I reckon it would.
So do I. Yeah, I really do. But that's where my brain is at. It goes down those little things of like, oh, so was the surgeon left or right-handed when he did this? And
what's the mental state at the time of working?
Is he putting in there negative energy?
Did he have an argument with his wife?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Honestly, I love it. So that scars are a bit woo-woo. Breathing's a biggie. Put back your pump system. You can't just do a pelvic floor with a Kegel.
Oh, I feel like we could go on.
Oh. What do you mean breathing? You're going to have to just...
Okay, this will blow the brain a little bit. So think of intra-abdominal pressure. This is the connection between your diaphragm, which wraps around the whole top part of your rib cage. Your pelvic floor wraps through the whole of the pelvic girdle. These should work. So every time you take a breath in, your tummy inflates, pushes the diaphragm down, squidges your organs down and out, so it should be like a little building, the foundations, core stability, and pushes down, so it stretches your pelvic floor. When you breathe in, the pelvic floor contracts, the organs are now being squidged back down, back in and up, and it pushes the diaphragm back up. So you should, every time you're breathing, have this pump system that's going like that.
I'm sitting here like...
How's it going?
But everyone's shallow.
Everyone's shallow. So you cut off.
But how do you know if you're a shallow breather?
Most people do. Like if you're going,
or put your hand on your chest,
and you're just breathing on your top chest. So I didn't realise about breathing until I went to yoga. And then
I think I breathe how I should breathe.
But you can learn to breathe in like the top, middle, and third part of your lung. And
I used to be. I was like, this is amazing. Honestly,
times of stress, like you realise you're really shallow.
You get
go up, and you need it then because you need to get oxygen in quick. So it is important. But we don't want to live in stress. Rest and digest. Oh, good book. Why don't zebras get ulcers? And I can't think of the guy who's written it, but it's a really good.
As in stomach ulcers.
Yeah. So why don't zebras get ulcers and stomach ulcers? And purely, it all talks about stress and how stress impacts us, and how if we live in flight and fight, you're always up here, but how stress links to like chronic illness, all that sort of thing. Really interesting book. But ideally, not only should you just belly breathe, because that's the easiest one we can do to be through should be breathing out three-dimensionally.
Yes. So it makes you
feel
feel
the sides
back
and
and
the
you
back.
can feel
Yeah,
your
that's
rib cages move.
So if you're coming in with back pain and you're a shallow breather, I'm instantly going to be doing a bit of breathing for you just to get your foundations in.
Get that going, yeah.
Yeah, okay, scars and breathing. We all thought we could breathe. Turns out we can't. We're
I'm now
insisting.
paranoid about my breath. I'm just going to do the fearful moment.
Oh yeah. What's your biggest fearful moment in life, and how did you overcome it?
Oh no, you thankfully did prep me with this, and it did take me straight back to the moment
Sorry.
when I got stuck under a boat. So honeymoon, just got married, had a lovely time. We're on our way back going through northern France. He's like, "Shall we go whitewater rafting?" Yes, I used to do that at school, and it was fun. No, it's just the two of us in a boat and the guy in the kayak behind. And oh my God, and we're just paddling towards, and the boat flips over. I get stuck under. Stu manages to pull me out. Got to get back in again. It's all right. I'm done. Same thing happened. Another 3 times, I think it was. And the last time, I'm just like, I can't do it. But I had to, because I had to flipping get down the river. I'm stuck. But that's awful, being stuck under that boat and thinking, oh God, I don't know if I'm coming out. It was, I can feel it now. That's my most fearful moment. Oh, and the fact
But
of
how do
having,
you deal with that in the moment?
Yeah.
Just pushing through and kind of disassociate and be like, I've got to get through this because
I
I
think it-
physically can't
I
go
think
home.
it was that there is no way out. I can't.
I have to get through
I
it.
have to do it. And it was awful because we got to towards the end and it's just like a little ripple of water, barely a whitewater rafting session at the end. But I was so scared. It was awful.
Question: have you ever done that again?
Yeah, it was horrendous.
Oh, you did. You pushed
But
through.
not even proper whitewater rafting. Just hired a little
Kayak.
kayak in flipping Wales.
But did you do that knowing full well that you was going to have to conquer your fear?
You know what? I
Or
don't
did
think
you
I knew
not think about
how much that had affected me until I went canoeing down this slightly bubbly bit of
it? It brings
water.
you back, doesn't it?
I brought it straight back and I could feel the tears. I think it was a bit of post-traumatic stress after it. Don't think I would.
Isn't
do
it funny
again.
how your body goes into survival mode and you're
Yeah.
going to park that
Yeah,
deep down?
Yeah.
You're not going to think about it until you get triggered.
tell you girls.
But when it comes to you working on someone's body, and you were saying about emotions, how do you find fear comes up with those?
Oh, what, as a chronic-y sort of anything? Oh, okay, so let's think of an example. Lovely, really lovely lady of mine, and her fear is just, she constantly wants to do the right thing or do well, and she's very hard on herself, and her fear is,
Sorry.
and her fear is just not, I guess, she's
Failure?
Fear of failure. And it's constantly there. But she, it's quite a while now, before she saw me, she had knee pain for something that's going to be like a 3-5 years. So about 3 years. Seen a lot of people. She's got to the stage where she is walking with crutches. Because it's so painful, and she's in her 20s. Bear in mind, she used to be big on her running, big on her CrossFit, that sort of thing, and she wasn't doing anything. She was saying to me that I'm scared to have kids because I don't know how I would cope, and I really want a dog, but I couldn't look after it right now. So when she first started, and for her, that it wasn't necessarily biomechanical. It was, we had to get to the root, and the root was how hard she was. So her stress levels were constantly so high because the pressure she put on herself, and she was quite negative, that she was revving up. Her pain cycle was so quick to respond. And so we had to change how she thought about how she talked to herself, how she
self-talk's a massive one.
She was very hard. Whereas,
but some people don't realise because it becomes their normal.
Well, she didn't.
Thoughts.
That's it. She just thought that was her.
Yeah.
But how much that was impacting, and the really interesting bit was the breakthrough for her was when she went for a walk, and I think she just thought, fuck it, I'm just going. I love the beach and I really want to go. So she went for a walk on the beach, and she came in and she said, "Oh, I didn't feel any pain at all." I'm like, well, that's why it's not biomechanical, because you are on a really uneven surface. If anything, that's going to kick your knee pain off. And what it was is because she was so like in the moment of, oh my God, the sun's shining, I can hear the waves. She wasn't thinking about her knee. And so she started the change at that point. She realised how big it was, her brain playing.
Doesn't Louise
playing
Hay's knee, isn't that
Oh,
about
yeah, that's
stepping into...
probably stepping forward.
Isn't it stepping into what, like your truth or something?
Oh,
so when you
it's
hold
like-
yourself
Like
back,
the jogging.
yeah, when you hold yourself back, that's
Yeah. Well, she would have been holding herself back from just
in all
how
life.
her negativity
Yeah.
was impacting her.
Yeah.
But now, little happy story. She's back running again.
Oh wow.
So
That's
she's
incredible.
back running. She's just done her first CrossFit competition, and she knows that if her knee starts to give her a little pain, what in her life is stressing her? Where does she need to? So she doesn't. It's now a trigger for her to
Yeah.
address the brain.
That's interesting.
And she did that purely. That was hard because that's not physical. You can't see it when other people. And before that, she was told that you've got a crack in your knee, and so for ages she thought that was legitimately the problem. Like this crack could get worse at any moment she took a step. But when she realised actually it's what the brain's paying, and actually I don't need to be scared of failing. I just take it and build it up. And she'd always come in saying, oh, well, one day when I'm a runner again, and then last time I saw her, it's like, so when are you a runner? Because you've done 40 odd runs, you've done a lot of miles, what makes you a runner? And so for her, she has to get into the fact of, rather than keep setting new goals, is actually praise yourself for being in that moment right now, because she was winning. Yeah, she was really good at that. So fear of failure, that was her thing.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's mindset all over again.
Oh, total
Which is
mindset.
a whole nother ball game, isn't it, really?
Yeah, but again, play with it, and you can. I bought on my own back pain 3 months there.
Did
I
you?
wanted to test it.
Yeah, why
I
not?
was sat on the train, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I wonder. I used to get a lot of SI, you know, the little dimples in your lower back.
Yeah.
So the SI joint on the right used to give me a lot of pain, and I thought, I hadn't had it for years. I thought, I wonder if I could bring it on again. I was a bit bored. I sat on the train, I was like, so I stood up, checked my biomechanics, I was level pelvis. Right, let's see. So I was just thinking about the pain I used to feel and how it made me feel at the time, and 10 minutes, brought the pain on, hadn't had it for years.
That's insane.
I then thought, from neck, I've got to get back out of this.
Yeah.
I was like, I want it now. And I'd say it took longer, probably about 20 minutes of just getting my head round, but I stood back up. So bringing the pain on didn't change my biomechanics, but the brain of me thinking that created the twist in my pelvis. Thinking about it did nothing else, straighten the pelvis.
But this is, what's his name?
Jodie Spencer.
Oh,
Jodie
Spencer.
That's all over, isn't it?
Yeah.
Love
Way
it.
to healing.
Yeah. It just blew my mind how thinking about it could create that biomechanical twist, and then changing it could untwist it.
Like some of the stories on his thing where people
it's incredible.
write themselves, like it's insane, really. It just goes to show you how powerful the brain is, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think once you've got the brain on your side, you've got everything.
Yeah.
Oh, one more, just because this is a fun one.
Yeah, go for it.
Honestly, this is good. So Parkinson's, never had anything really to do with Parkinson's. Prior to moving to Norfolk, quite an ageing population up on the coast, lots of oldies. So Parkinson's is quite rife up there. So I thought, I've got to get into this. I've got a couple of clients with Parkinson's. One particularly, he is like within seconds he can change. We can be striding out, walking beautifully. You'd never, to look at him, you wouldn't know he had anything wrong with him. If you let him get inside his head, and he has a history of a lot of anxiety, he goes into shuffly, wobbly, panicky, and it can be within seconds.
Do you
and
reckon
that's purely
though,
when I change his brain, he can completely change
the
it.
Parkinson's comes on for people that are more like that in general
I've
through
thought
life?
about that, and I would need to have more
Evidence
clients
for it, yeah.
because I definitely thought just seeing the change.
Negative thinkers tend to have that later.
Or
on.
anxiety.
Anxiety,
type
like,
people.
yeah.
Yeah, there that anxiety and the limiting what he can do. He's always like, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, yeah, you can, I'm here.
Yeah, but that's the difference between people, like, say they've got a mobility issue, and you know, them incredible people are like, I will not allow this to defeat me, and they go off and do like stuff
Right,
that
they
shouldn't be able to physically
Yeah.
do, but they've got their mind on their side.
Yeah.
And then other people that are like, I can't do that because of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think necessarily every single case.
No, but I think it massively
but I
impacts.
reckon it would impact it.
Like it amazes me when you see the difference where his head's in a good space and when it's in a and it can be just the worry of like, oh, when's my next doctor's appointment? What's he going to say? Oh, he's going to tell me this. I'm going to have these tablets, and that'll take him in, and he'll go shuffly, worry, panic, that sort of thing. So mindset, get control of the brain.
Yeah,
that's the biggie.
So this leads on quite nicely to our last. What is your favourite quote or motto that you would live by?
You know what? I'd love to think of. I like my brain thinking of these sorts of things in nightmare. There we go. Mindset prepped it for being a nightmare. I can't think of any good funny ones, but one I really like is, how many times you've been in a yoga class and at the end and you got your little bow and she goes namaste to you. I used to just say it because that's what she said, and I thought you said it back, a bit like amen. From primary school, amen. But namaste, she then once mentioned, she said, namaste means the light in me sees and honours the light in you. And I just thought, I flipping love that.
That's really nice. I did not know
I
that.
didn't, and now I love it.
That is literally, like, you know, when you just said about the Nala thing,
Yeah.
when I gave up all my trying to change her, I just did that. I'm going to accept you for who you are. It was just a bit of namaste.
She was like,
namaste.
Come there.
Time.
Isn't it beautiful? Like, I never knew what it meant. I just said it because she said it, and then when she gave us the meaning, I thought, that is really nice. I really like that.
Oh,
Yeah, so namaste.
I had no idea. I'm going to have to write that down somewhere. I had no idea that was that.
The light in me sees and honours the light in you. Yeah, it's good,
isn't
isn't
it?
it?
It's made me all warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, there you go. What a note to finish on. And at that point, we're all going to namaste.
Thank you so much for being our first guest.
If we could find
Yes,
you.
I was gonna
Sorry.
say. I was going to say thank you very much for being our first guest. If people
Want to get in contact?
yeah. Where's your
Probably
place?
DM on the old Instagram. So I'm at Move Well with Ellie Williams.
And I'll put that in
We'll
the
put
show
it on.
notes.
Perfect. Yeah.
Nice.
Obviously, there's the website, same thing, but yeah, Instagram probably
Move Well
with
Ellie
Ellie Williams. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you. Thanks for having me.